Welcome everybody, this time, this space, wherever you are. A sense of settling, recollecting, recollecting, collecting oneself, collecting the presence, composing, reconnecting with the well-wishing that life wishes for itself, that it seeks for itself. An aspiration for fulfillment, independent of conditions. Knowing this knowing. Knowing this time, this space. And the attention inward. Even if the eyes are open, and a sense of the body connecting, supported, and released. Not floppy but released, not tensed up. Just the suggestion of that. In touchness with the experience of sitting here. In touch with a sense of here, now, knowing. The gift of attention, the gift of life, receiving experience, and the gift of life to life. This practice in this now, this here, the all of it, the stillness, the collectedness with the rhythm of the breath, the thoughts, the emotions, the sensations, and this knowing, still, sustained, received. How it is, how the knowing is, and this knowing of the knowing. sense of welcoming, receiving, this knowing and this gift. The in-breath received, the out-breath relinquished. The rhythm revealing the well-wishing, the blessing of life and blessing life. Its nature, this nature, this knowing, and knowing the ending. And lightly reviewing what's happened. So, gathering together on this Friday or Saturday or whenever it is that you might be looking at this or hearing this. And the practice of uh, metta mentioned last week, and then maybe for many of us, it's one of the things that we get introduced to. And then for many people, especially people from Sri Lanka or people who've learned the translations of the Karanya Metta Sutta into English or into Portuguese or into whatever, it's a starting point for many of us. And it's revealing, and what liberates is what it reveals, because it is an exercise that can be done, and the reflection. This is what should be done by one who is skilled in goodness and who knows the path of peace. It's about what one can offer for oneself and what then one can offer to others. And this not dwelling in aversion, which is what Ajahn Sumedharama, I think, most often uses as a translation or as an explanation of the term. It's the natural expression of a heart free from wanting something out of the situation, or wanting to get rid of something, or being confused about how things are. It's natural that there's going to be an expression of metta, of not dwelling in aversion, because that's the antithesis, or aversion doesn't feature when there's not dwelling in aversion. there's not confusion, and there's not desire, because desire is always frustrated, because desire always comes from a sense of lack, because you've got something, you no longer desire it. That the fear is you desire not to lose it, and that's again a desire, if there's a desire there. So it's always coming from a sense of lack and a sense of not liking how things are, not being able to bear with how things are, striving or tension. That's what's being created, is a sense of tension. So metta is the opposite of that, or not. It's what's expressed when the tension is not there. So when you practice metta as an exercise, then for liberation, what's useful to notice is where the tension arises. What does one feel? I don't have metta for that. I am dwelling in aversion to this. And then, of course, the next thing that happens often is I don't like to dwell in aversion. So I'm trying to get rid of that aversion. So I add to the aversion by not liking it. Particularly if one is trying to say, well, I'm practicing metta. I want to practice a sense of non-aversion and not dwelling in aversion, and then I'm experiencing aversion. Then the result is more frustration. So to turn that, to reflect on that, to notice that, that's where the possibility of something being revealed is. It's where the limitation is revealed, where the tension is revealed. And then it's okay, so dukkha, the tension, the stress. And that's already ennobling, because it's saying, well, it's like this. And then abandoning the cause is that as part of this, I don't wanting to not resolving not to cause more harm, which is the sammasankappa, the intention of not to cause more harm. Because by adding to the tension, you're actually causing more harm. And so the letting go is actually the kindest thing that one can do. The release of that through. And the being that most deserves one's metta in the whole universe, most deserves metta in the whole universe, is the one that one lives with all the time. And it did in that, which is this one. And so recognizing that, the aversion that we have to ourselves is, and if we dwell in that aversion to what we think we are, that is just generates more pain. What I really try to suggest is being in touch with the fact that we wish ourselves well. The reason that there's a sense of, I don't like this, is because we wish it was better. And if we can stop with a sense of, I wish it was better, without adding to what we wish was better, and just stop this projection of unsatisfactoriness. This is what we're doing to ourselves. It's a self-harming that we're actually doing. When we try to it's a strange thing. Because life does wish itself well. It wishes the best for itself. It's just deeply, deeply confused. And it goes into indulgence or into self-harming. Self-harming indulgence is a type of self-harming in some ways. So, it's actually not wrong to practice metta, to practice it as an exercise. And, with a sense of, may I be well, may those that I love and respect, may they be well. May those that I don't know, may they be well. And those that I dislike, may they be well. Or one can go through classes of people, all the beings that are kind and responsible in their lives, may they be well. All the beings that are just getting on with their lives and doing the best they can in whatever role they're in, whether they're walking dogs or delivering letters or whatever they're up to in their life, may they be well. And then may all those beings that I think are not doing things that are skillful, may they find a way to free themselves from pain and suffering. May they be well, as life wishes itself well. And then noticing how that suggestion, or what the effect of that suggestion is, what ripples come from that. And then knowing that then one sees where the tangles are, where the sense of self-righteousness is, where the sense of don't they know what they're doing? This is so evil and stupid. Where that comes from. And it's not a condoning of evil and stupid actions. It's not sort of saying but it's not trying to condone that, because that's obviously unskillful actions that do harm or exploit or are unskillful. They will lead to unskillful results. They will lead to harmful results both for themselves and for the people who are perpetuating them. It's just deeply, deeply unskillful. And there's a great sadness. And so we're not trying to generate or become somebody who's filled with metta, or become anything, actually, because any sort of becoming is setting a sensitivity. It's just noticing this is how it is, and really that allowing that the knowing what's not hurting, knowing what's not caught up, knowing what's not needy, knowing what's not looking for some reassurance or affirmation. Just knowing this knowing. Just that's the way out. And trusting that, and the sense of this is enough. Oh, I want more. Just give me a little bit more. Like Oliver Twist, who probably did need some more, but it's that, that sense of inadequacy that we perpetuate. I'm somehow not worthy. I'm somehow not. No, I just need something more. Or we just go the other way and say, well, I'll just indulge for a bit, just switch off and just enjoy the senses, forget about. And that what happens when that happens? What's the consequences of that? How is it actually experienced? Sort of indulgence of the senses or self-indulgence in sort of ideas about what one is. So the other sort of self-indulgence, or the seeking from others a sense of reassurance or bolstering. Just tell me I'm all right, and then I'll believe. This sort of it's not. If one feeds that habit, what's the habit that one's feeding? Is the sense of I'm not all right. Notice that and be careful of that, because if there's a basic interest in the Dhamma and there's a basic interest in keeping the 5 precepts, one's doing already very, very well. And that's fine. There's a sense of safety. So when one comes to sit and stop, a sense of confidence that, for this period, whatever arises, be okay. I don't need to dwell in aversion to it. It's only for a little while. I can smile at it. I can enjoy, I can appreciate the fact that there is life. This is life. Life is like this. I can give attention to this life. I can receive this life. Give life to life, I say. And the knowing this knowing, and sustaining that as a practice. It's where all the problems cease, isn't it? Because the knowing of the problems is not the problem. The knowing just knows there's a problem. Or whatever it is that's arising and ceasing, there's no indulging. There's appreciation, because it's like this. Appreciation for life. Practice of composure and clarity, sustaining itself through whatever occurs. There's no wanting it to be other than the way that it is. Not dwelling in aversion, the practice of metta. It's a natural expression. And that would be the encouragement. And what it allows is, and it's an expression of, is maturity, growing up. Mature. It's necessary for life, actually, not dwelling in aversion. One constantly dwells in aversion. One's caught in being allergic to everything, and one can't stand anything. Nothing is good enough. Nothing is how I want it. Nothing is as it should be. Nothing is it's all it's too much for me. I can't stand it anymore. That's the opposite of maturity. Sort of terrible twos time. It's a time of tantrum and overwhelm. Well, it's not mature behavior, not mature emotion. And if one receives that the whole time, if that's what the life receives, then it doesn't survive. It shuts down. If a baby doesn't receive metta, or doesn't experience acceptance, then it dies. It's the nature of a baby to die, because if it's not received in some way with some acceptance, a human baby will die. It's not just its nature. Life, the capacity to doesn't have anything to, can't work. Well, then recognizing this for this being to experience and to know what it's like to not have aversion, not be dwelling in aversion towards itself. So that's its possibility. It's like this. The body's like this. The mind's like this. Thoughts are like this. It's all dependent upon causes and conditions, and the causes and conditions and habits and stuff are just this way. And then if the effort that is made is to not pick up unwholesome new habits. And then whatever unwholesome habits that one notices, not dwell in aversion to them, but just not feed them. Allow them to die. And then whenever one notices there's something that can break a habit, something that can release oneself from compulsion, notice that. Allow that to be something that is nurtured and cared for. Allow the sense of allow things to be frustrating, so that it's nothing wrong with being frustrated, because and irritated, because that's the nature. It's going to be that way. Life is frustrating and irritating because it's always going to be like that. The nature of sensitivity is that there's a certain amount of irritation. Even pleasant, sensitive contact is an irritation. And it does. It can't. Nothing is always. Any sensory contact is not always pleasant. It doesn't work like that. So this is how it is. A sense of kindness and acceptance, not dwelling in aversion. It's not that there won't be aversion, because it's like vihara is a dwelling place. As I describe it, it's the Brahma viharas are the dwelling places of the gods. They're the best parts of town, the best real estate. It's not that there might be other parts of town or other dwelling places which are not so good, but you might visit them, but you don't have to live there. So there's no. And so when there are other experiences Don't dwell in aversion to aversion. Don't dwell in aversion to that which is frustrating and angry and irritating and ugly. It's just that's how it is. You're not saying it's not angry, irritating, frustrating, and ugly, and disgusting, and all that sort of stuff. It's not lying. You're noticing that. But you don't have to dwell in aversion to that. You don't have to add to that. It's like this. And it's a really helpful starting point. And actually, in practicing metta, what you do notice maybe is what is irritating, angry, ugly, and disgusting, and foul. and because you're able to see it actually more clearly. It's like this. And it's not, you don't have to pretend it somehow. You don't have to like it. It's not a question of liking something that's irritating, ugly, disgusting, and foul. It's not in behavior, either in oneself or in others, but you don't have to follow it or add to it. Yeah? Yes, it allowing the radiance that is natural to metta to shine a light on what is irritating, ugly, disgusting, and foul, without dwelling in aversion to it, so that it can actually be dealt with. It's like this. I don't have to add to this. I don't have to perpetuate this, either in myself or in others. No, it's metta is a way of letting go, not to make it into something that one has to feel great love and compassion for all beings. Now, compassion is the action that reduces suffering now and in the future, and that's what we must feel for ourselves if we come to something like this. Because I trust that your intention in coming here is to reduce suffering now and in the future, yourself and others. Figuring out how to do that is a function of wisdom. That's something that is a learning of, and that's an admitting of mistakes, an admitting of error, a sense of shame about that, and a sense of not wanting to go close to doing it. It's Hiri and Otapa, the guardians of the world, which protect, and are the kindest ways of protecting this from causing more problems. And protecting it from harming, exploiting, or indulging. So I wish you all protection. I wish you all kindness and acceptance. And I apologize for the confusion and the limitations of this medium, this understanding here, and this capacity to try to explain. So I'll be happy to receive any questions and see if I can help in any way further the next 15 or so minutes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bhante.
So the silence of no questions, no doubts, no worries, no hopes, no fears, completely free. Yeah. No, just, okay. I think I'll probably try to answer the first question. To die mindfully. Or to notice that death is happening a moment by noticing endings. Noticing the ending of something. The movement from one room to the other is a death and a rebirth. The movement of one mind moment to another is a death and a rebirth. A dying mindfully is how one allows things to end without having to carry something forward to the next one, without a feeling, well, this isn't finished yet. I need to do some more. With Ajahn Buddhadasa, I went to see him, and somebody asked him about, there was this building that was happening. They were building something. And the person asked him, well, when's the building going to be finished? And Ajahn Buddhadasa said, what's done is finished. So, there were bits that didn't seem complete, but as far as Ajahn Buddhadasa was concerned, what's done is finished. It's that sense of being able to stay with something and what's done is finished. Or, it's trying to allow the thing to be complete when one moves from one place to the next or does one thing to the next. Being careful about that. I'm not personally, I recognize that I leave a lot hanging over. And that's not dying mindfully, leaving of a room. Guided vipassana, guided meditation. Well, vipassana meditation is the term has been used as a way of describing a sweeping of attention through the body, noticing the different sensations. And there are some of those around that I've given and offered. The guided meditation of taking attention through the body. 15 minutes is too short to really do it in. You really need to do that over a couple of hours if you're going to do it well. So that there's a lot of sensation. But I don't tend to do those. So I'm sure there are places where one can do it. As Ajahn, one of the Ajahns have also said, guiding meditation at all is a bit like teaching somebody to ride a bicycle by getting on the back of the bicycle. It just adds to the instability of the whole experience. So, the brief instructions that I offer for 15 minutes or so are just a way of like settling, and then one has to find one's own way. Is it correct that by letting go of Sakkaya Ditthi, one also lets go of subject-object duality? No, I don't think. It's personality belief. Because there's still a sense of conceit, and that only disappears at arahantship. It's Sakkaya Ditthi is personality belief. I am somebody. And that doesn't exist on its own, as I've repeatedly said, and people have repeatedly said, because there are three aspects of it, of this first three fetters. There's I am somebody. So I definitely need to do something. And I'm not sure if it's the right thing or if I can do it. This is called Sakayaditi, Silapata Paramasa, and Vichikicca, doubt. Those are the three things that we go round and round and round in. This is this is the whirlpool of self-view. Of course, it gets projected outwards. You're somebody, you need to do something, and I'm not sure if you can do it or not, or whether you will do it or not. And this goes round and round and round. There is no end of it by thinking and by trying to get out of it this way. So people say, well, how can I get out of this cycle? Well, of course, then I'm somebody who needs to get out of this cycle, and I'm not sure whether I can do it or not. So that's not going to work, is it? So, okay, so that's probably enough on Sakayaditi. If people knew the value of giving where he did, they would not eat a single meal without sharing it with others. I don't know, I'm not the Buddha. But any sort of generosity is helpful. But yes, it's helpful to give, helpful for everybody, because what it does, my experience of giving is that there's a sense of I have enough when I give. If I can offer something, I have enough. And that sense of I don't have enough is not present. And that sense of I don't have enough is such a binding thing, because it's such a tension-filled thing. I lie, little lies, but they happen. Lying in the 5 precepts is actually consciously knowing that one's deceiving. One often speaks hurriedly or exaggerates. And certainly there's a lot of speech that's unskillful, that's gossiping, that's telling stories about people and trying to get people to get, or just frivolous speech. And that's not skillful speech, but it's not directly intending to deceive in one's communication. And, noticing, what I find helpful is noticing, using that precept of training oneself not to lie, to learn how to speak skillfully so that one doesn't deceive, but still manages to preserve a sense of wholesomeness. There's lots of discussions on this and whether it's ever right to lie, but there are ways of speaking that don't, that are not lying, but are not necessarily telling the whole story, which are actually okay. Somebody says that, are you hiding any Jews in this house? If they're persecuting the Jews, and you say, I am not doing anything dishonorable in this house. Yeah, it's not. You can really be insistent about that. And you'll still be saying the truth. Yeah. So it's a way. You have to figure out ways of. If somebody says, "Do you like this dress that I'm wearing?" Well, find a way of. If you don't like it, find a way of not making it too uncomfortable, without actually having to say, "Well, I love it." Because if you don't love it, then you're lying, and then you're deceiving yourself. So figure out ways of being intelligent and wise and compassionate, both to yourself and others. Is it necessary? Yeah. Well, it's necessary. A subhagamatan is this dwelling on what's disgusting in the body, or dwelling on the bits of the body which would naturally have a certain sense of I don't like that. If a sense of not dwelling in aversion is not cultivated, then the tendency can get quite negative. So that's the reason that they usually say practice metta with a supa. It's not like it's a way of balancing that, so that you're not getting too caught up in aversion. So you're not dwelling in aversion. You're not stuck in aversion. You're not stuck in that part of town. You're not stuck in the sense of I don't like this. And yeah, certainly practice metta towards yourself and practice compassion for yourself. And compassion is allowing yourself to working out ways that you suffer less now and in the future, and that requires wisdom. So learning to use your speech, learning to use our speech that is in accordance with truth and causes less problems to ourselves and to others because we wish ourselves well. That's the reason. I like your flower. Yeah, you can also point that sort of thing out. So and point out what you do like. If you don't like something, that's END's suggestion. I approach the desk question with something like, "I like your flowery dress better." It's a way of anything that you can do that you can figure out to try to preserve the truth. That's what's helpful because that's what we're interested in. And if we start, lying just makes life complicated, both for ourselves and for others, and complicates life. Lying complicates life. Yeah, they need constant maintenance, and hard work, and then you have to remember them. Too difficult. It's not actually kind to yourself to get caught up in a lot of lying. Jit hen jit, stay with the knowing or knowing the knowing. Would that be similar to Anapana experience in the mind? Yes, experiencing knowing this sense of knowing. It's like the attention is here. Although there's stuff happening out there, the attention is also here. So it's like it's knowing where the world is being created, where your world is being created. There's a clarity about that.